Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the fifth episode of the ArtaCast. We are very excited. We both LD and I had a very exciting weekend with a lot of Locana for us both. Set 5 and set 6. Set 5 for the last time. I played in the big tournament. He played in the big tournament. And we will today we want to talk about our weekend a bit, and then we want to talk about the EU versus NA tournament. What's really exciting for me, and I think for the community as well. And my first match versus Zan was very close and heartbeat final. So I want to talk about that a bit. Yeah, and then we just talk about some meta stuff, how it evolved in the week, and I think we have a lot to talk about. Yeah, how was your weekend, LD? How was your tournaments?
Yeah, I had such a good weekend. So if anybody didn't listen last week, I attended the Axion Now 10th anniversary celebration in Birmingham, which was a set 5 tournament on Saturday, set 6 on the Sunday. And I had a blast. They run awesome tournaments. It was so good. I met so many people as well that had such nice things to say about the podcast and everything to do with that. And you had a really, really good time, especially special shout out to a few of the guys from Kent, Charlie, Bernardo. I didn't get your other friend's name. Really nice people to hang out with and talk about Green Purple. So I just had a fantastic time, and thanks to everybody involved. How about you? You were in Italy, right?
Yeah, I was in Italy, and there was from the Law League in Italy, a big tournament with 240 players, and it was actually really exciting and really big. It was set 5, so I had to play one last set 5 tournament. And it was pretty successful for me. I won, you can't say. We split the finals, but I reached the finals, what was very good for me. I played red purple, just random red purple Haufen. And I can't complain. I had drew really good the whole day. Had bricked never. I wished something like this was my DLC run, because DLC run was always a bit. I bricked a lot and had some unfortunate games. But there, I played against a lot of Steel Song, and they always wheeled me into a B prep, and some that's what's it was.
That's what you
good.
need.
Yeah, that's what I need. And so it was kind of successful. Yeah. And how was your run?
My run in set 5 was not so good. I just ran back my green purple list from my final set champs of last season, and thought, well, it did fine. It'll probably do fine again. Lost one reasonably early to a really nice red blue opponent. That happens. Sometimes you can't go under them. And then I got Diablo'd pretty hard to put me into the X2 bracket in round 5, and decided to drop and play a set 6 rebound event, which I happily say I won, and I got this nice D23 collection.
Oh, nice.
Pretty box to sit on my shelf. I guess dropping was the right choice. But the set 5, no good for me. Didn't have the hot run this time. There were a few people in the room who I think must have been following the tournament in Italy as well, and people that have noticed that you were on red purple. The word traitor was used, but I don't, don't throw that around lightly. Is there a reason why did your mind change a little bit at all on sort of set 5? It's sort of a metagame that's passed now, but I'm wondering why the last minute change to red purple. Was there anything that sort of stuck out as a reason?
I was not very high on green purple at the end, to be honest, because it felt like it's missing something to be really high tier 1 for me. Some things that the other decks have, and especially green steel was very hard.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but Z6 is a different story now. So I'm not a traitor. I how can you be a traitor to your own thing? Um, and to be honest, friends, if you say I'm a traitor, it could still be it's still possible then in the future if I think green purple is not the best deck to bring to a big tournament. I try to be a high competitive player, then it's still possible that I pick something else. Be aware of me being a traitor.
I think I definitely fell into the same trap as you, which was that from testing set 6, I had such high excitement about green purple that I think in those 2 weeks I just sort of forgot that it kind of sucked a little bit in set 5 and wasn't quite so good, and I excitedly showed up ready to play Sir Hisses and stuff like they were go-go's, and yeah, they are not that, and it wasn't quite as good. So
problem
yeah,
is in
maybe I
set
made the
5
wrong
it
call.
was in set 5 it was no real reason to pick green purple, I think, because there
Sure.
was not a deck you punish with it or something. It felt like a bit like a worse red purple for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of doing the same thing, just with no board wipes. And I was so happy that I had B preps in my deck. I can't tell you that it's just when games go wrong and then they storm 2 times your 1-drops away with Cindy, also you still have to B preps to come back into the game, and that's not possible with green purple. It's kind of simple and it exists like since set 2, but it's still the fact that board wipes are important to win on the draw often, and
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's certainly good when they wheel you into them instead of wheeling them away.
yeah, that's true.
Seems like that worked out just fine.
But I think I made a mulligan correctly, like I always. I mean, I beat 5 steel songs, and that's not out of nowhere. Because I always keep everything except B preps in my opening hand. So I think part of the game plan is to wheel, so the wheel will come, so I don't have to mulligan for a very valuable opening hand just for 1-drops or something, and keep ink. I always keep everything ink. If I have Flynn, I keep it, although he sucks in this matchup, and just keep my ink, and then I get a valuable wheel often, because if I get no B prep, then I get a Medusa or a Maui or something, and they're also very good. And Finders Keepers was my MVP. Oh my gosh, it was such a good card.
How many copies did you play?
2.
Yeah.
But I wonder how it's still too slow for set 6, but there it was really good. Just against red blue, for example, for the turn before B prep, when I know they B prep anyway, and then this was very powerful then to refill my hand, and
yeah. Nice. Well, that's an amazing run. But unfortunately in a format that is now behind us.
Yeah.
So
what I want to talk with you about is about my Zan match. And because it's very important for me. Yeah, it means very important for me. It was a very close game and I won, fortunately, but I think I got pretty lucky at the end. But yeah, I played for my outs. And many people are flaming is maybe too much, but talking about Zan misplaying against me when questing with a beast, and I think it was no misplay, and I want to give justice to Zan by explaining now why he didn't misplay at all. And I think it's not just this situation. So I think when we look at the situation, we see that's kind of comparable to many other situations where racing happens, and then you have to play for your outs, and I think that could be very interesting for you watching. So I want to talk with you about that situation.
Nice.
Okay, so we're here. This is a situation where it was the situation where people were complaining about Zan questing with the beast, and I want to talk with you about what's happening here. My hand was, I can tell you, you don't see it. I didn't find a spot where you see really good my hand in this situation. So it was Goat, Gogo Tamago, and One Drop Diablo. The only card he knows I have is Gogo Diablo, is Diablo, because he bounced it with the Muses. And yeah, so the situation is like here. The Prince John was played this turn, so he couldn't quest with the Prince John. He could quest with the Muses and the Beast. So what he could do is not quest at all. What could be the what was by the people said it was the right play. But let's imagine he doesn't quest at all here. What do? I draw a card, quest with a goat, play another goat, play the Diablo, go to 13 with 2 goats on board and Diablo, with still having my Gogo Tamago in hand. Very bad position for him. The next thing is why I did think is correct. He has not many cards to remove a goat, so the problem doesn't get away when he's not questing with the beast, because he has to quest with the beast at some point. He has to raise at some point, and 3 strength were gone, and at least 2 or 3 Brunos. So it's nearly impossible for him to remove my goat. So what can he do? He could not quest. Yeah, then I do this. Go to 13 with 2 goats and Diablo on board. He's still at 0. So, and the next thing is, I don't know if you remember, I thought really long if I even do the Gogo play here, because he had an Exerted Beast, and I could just quest here and play the second goat and play the Diablo. That's also not bad position. I think he's in a bad position either way, no matter what he does here. Mm-hmm. What he also could not do is just quest with the Muses here, because then I trade the Muses, and then the Muses are gone, and that's also very bad. By questing with the Beast, he can at least secure that the Muses will survive probably, and he got the 3 lore. And when I run into the Beast, go to 12, play Gogo and the Diablo, I'm only at 16.
Yeah,
that's I mean, only it's not super over. It's I need to have the second go to be really, really scary for him. Mm-hmm. There were 2 things that made me do the trade then, and that's, first of all, I prevent him from drawing with the Beast.
Yep.
And I was just afraid, to be honest, to not get this opportunity again to do the Gogo thing here, because if he draws the Bruno then or something, then I'm really screwed. So I think we both did the right play, because then he quests, and by trading with my goat into the Beast, I'm actually losing 1 lore, because I could quest and then I get more lore out of the goat, and by trading into the Beast, I actually lose 1 lore, you could say. And then it's not the worst what could happen for him. He explained it to me, and I could agree. The Gogo play was not the worst thing that could happen to me, because it's very likely then he can remove my Diablo with the Muses again, and then I just quest with the Gogo, play something. The good thing was as well, he couldn't bounce my Gogo, of course, because he cannot give it back to me. But I think, just for the community, if he doesn't quest, and I quest with my goat, play the other goat and Diablo, I think he's in a worse position than with the Gogo, because the Gogo doesn't go away, you know. It's still. Yeah. Or how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've explained it really well. The situation isn't really, or at least it doesn't appear that anybody has really made any kind of grievous misplay. the big sort of background thing for me is that green steel. Its problem has always been establishing an actual clock. There's not
Yeah.
many things they're happy questing with other than a Diablo. At some point, you have to do that, and you generally do it about this point in the game where you have a commanding lead on board. You have to start questing with something and start making some progress. Beast is a fine quest because, like, at this point, you're right. The go-go line doesn't win you the game. He doesn't have knowledge of the second goat in your hand, which is the piece that's instrumental to actually winning the game. You have to hedge and take a little risk at some point that, questing with the beast removes the goat, takes you to a completely empty board. Even if you play the go-go, you've then paid 4 of your current 5 ink. So your next turn, your blade just leaves a 2/2. Not one that you want to muse. Obviously, that's bad news. And a Diablo that you can muse back. So it's a slow clock, and one that he's sort of close to being able to outpace. Even if you make this line, that's kind of the worst thing that can happen for him, right?
Yeah, and we didn't consider at all that it's actually possible that I don't have the go-go, Also, we
exactly.
we're complaining about if it was the right play when I have the go-go, but I still doesn't need to have the go-go in this position. It's just the worst case. And if I have the go-go here, he's in a bad spot either way. I think there's not many. Yeah, not in the really worst spot, but yeah, it's tough for him probably in this spot. Because he
two
has
unknown cards in hand. 2 unknown cards in your hand. It's a fair chance that you don't have it, and at some point you do have to just play the odds that are presented to you, right? If he's not questing, he's not winning. You have a goat on board that you're going to be able to just freely quest with. Start bounce. It's much more likely you start like, if he was to quest with muses, for example, you can fox your goat and start doing stuff like that, and just take your positive trade with the muses, and then he loses the ability to bounce your Diablo again, and the game just spirals. But yeah, it's such a tricky spot, and I totally understand where people would look at the situation and think, okay, that's a misplay to quest with that beast because look, you just go-goed for 4 and gained 1 off a goat dying. But it's only it's with the hand knowledge that the audience has that appears to be a misplay, right? It's specifically the fact that you have a second goat and a go-go. It's not just one of those two. It's the 2 in conjunction with one another, and you can play to like one gut shot. Maybe my opponent has the perfect thing. But you can't really ever afford to play around thinking, oh, do they have this exact 2-card combination as their 2 unknown cards in their hand? Because that would be really bad.
Yeah, and even when I have the go-go and the second goat, I win even when he doesn't quest,
Yeah, sure.
That's no difference. I play the second goat, play Diablo, and then go to 13. How will they deal with it? Still have the go-go in my hand. That's much worse position for him, I think.
Yeah.
So I just want to give justice to Zan that he didn't misplay at all, and I think he played very well. And I think, I got pretty lucky in the end, because he didn't draw some songs. But I think it was a really crazy good game. Yeah, it was
a great set for both of you. Really, really well played, and like you say, it's right to kind of set people straight on exactly what was going on with that line, because it's way more complex than it looks, and the line that Zan took is way more correct than it looks as well. I think there's an interesting case there, and we could probably talk for a very long time about go-go and when you do it versus when you don't. I was just quite intrigued by the fact that you went for it, and to me, the thing that swings the decision towards what you did is, like you say, shutting off the beast. You've got a Diablo and a beast. You can't beat 3 cards a turn. So when the opportunity is presented to you, you're gonna take that. And his hand is forced. His hand is forced to quest. Yours is also forced to trade after he's done that, which is why he's quested, because he wants to clear your board, as well as establish a clock. But the decision to go straight away versus like maybe looking for it on a later turn or something, I just think is really, really interesting. And I'm probably as guilty of this as anybody else, of sort of looking for always those, I don't know, it's kind of it's seen as a game-ending card. I feel weird using it in spots where I'm not exactly ending the game. It's like if I don't, like, a gotcha for 4 is huge, but like I want it to be 16 to 20, not 11 to 15. And Yeah, it's like a really difficult card to learn optimal play patterns with, even though it's so powerful, it's hard to play it wrong. But I think it's something people will get a little better at over time as well.
Yeah, I think it's still it's weird when I say this because I play in the card myself, but I think it's still a bit overhyped, the card in general. I don't know. There are so many situations where Gogo is just bad and does not anything, and you only see we talked about it last week. We only see the crazy closing things she does,
Yeah,
but
sure.
in every early mid game situation, you don't go for too low or something. That's just not useful. You only do it for closing out games, right? And it's just a very mid turn to play most of the time.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think it's still a very good card. Yeah, but
yeah, it's incredible. Certainly from playing in the set six tournaments this weekend. It's no secret that people like it. They are playing with it in high numbers.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
scared. That's what I'm scared right now because you told me that there were so many. Because I was at the set 5 tournament, so I didn't couldn't look for beta games. And you could, and you said the whole room was full of green purple, right?
It was a very, very large amount. Certainly, it wasn't like it was the only deck, but it was the most represented across the top tables for the vast majority of the day. Lots of people who have played it for a long time were finding they were doing better than they had in previous sets. Lots of people who like to just jump around between what they think is good had kind of independently decided that this was the top deck for them. So yeah, for better or worse, there were lots and lots of go-go's and lots of people getting various differing amounts of value from them. But yeah, hard to call the card anything other than like S tier. I think it's
Yeah, it's still S tier.
incredible.
It's still S tier. I
Yeah.
just wanted to go down with it a bit. The problem is, if so many people are on green purple, then people will try to adapt and try to crush it, and that scares me a bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the meta is still very, very, very open. I don't know how you see it. Yeah, I mean in this tournament it wasn't open, but I think the consideration for many people what they could bring is still there are a ton of decks. I think you could consider to test for Paris or to bring for Paris.
Yeah, totally. There's at least, like we were saying before, a couple of the previous episodes, there are at least 5 or 6 decks that you could play and be reasonably confident in. I think whenever something new emerges or takes a big step up, like Green Purple appears to have done, if it sticks around and doesn't get too heavily targeted, it's really easy to then think, okay, well, this is the deck now. The same way people felt about Green Steel, we've kind of had that lingering response since the Bucky deck popped up out of nowhere, and everyone's like, okay, well, I need to be playing this because it's obviously head and shoulders above everything else, unless I'm a complete master with some other archetype. That doesn't really feel like the situation. It's just that this is kind of like the new hotness, right? This is the new thing people are getting excited about. That's kind of different. The set six tournament on Sunday, the big main event, out of interest, won by Steel Song, traditional Steel Song. Our friend Boomy, Stefan
yeah.
Hadley, won. So massive congratulations to him. An
Yes.
incredible storyline as well. Turned up on the Sunday to the tournament after going on his own stag party on the Saturday. He's getting married in a couple of weeks' time. He turned up and I saw him in the morning and walked over and sat with him. He looked like death. He probably had maybe 2 hours of sleep, and he was obviously the drink had caught up with him, and he made the effort to come along despite being heavily hungover, and then ended up winning the whole day. So that is really doing it on hard mode. And now after he gets married, him and his partner get to go off to Disneyland. That was the prize, $2,000 bursary to
Oh.
Disneyland. So incredible, massive congratulations to him. But that just kind of speaks to this room full of green purple, which actually has a good Steel Song matchup now. It's our matchup into Steel Song has changed so much over the sets that it's hard to think about it being good. But I actually find it positive now. I feel very confident into Steel Song a lot of the time. I don't know if all players would agree, but I did every time I played it this weekend, I won.
Yeah, I could see that. And I think so too. The problem is that Daisy, their Daisy pushed our matchup so much. It's such a trash. It's such a trash card against us. It's you should never play it. Not never play it, but always mulligan it away. Cindy is 10 times that scary than Daisy.
Yeah,
and completely. we have a lot of tools right now. I think also Elsa is good, and some other cards. Pluto can sometimes a problem if you don't have the answer right away. But yeah, I also feel confident in that matchup.
Yeah, the Pluto I felt initially the first time. This happens a lot, doesn't it? When there's a new card that you don't really have a plan for, and suddenly it's played. What do I do against a 5/5? Well, actually, the answer is you just kind of throw some like a 1/3 Ursula into it, and then take a positive trade with one of your 4 strength things. That's what you do, and it's quite easy to do, as it turns out. So it's really not as big of an issue as it looked. And again, that was just don't fall into the Rapunzel trap, and you're fine.
I saw many people writing me or complaining in chat or something about the Steel Song matchup, and I think there's much you can play wrong in this matchup. What kind of easily can be shut down, I think. I think you still have to never give them positive Rapunzel trades. And get always for board, and then I also feel good. Kit is really good often, and Genie as well. I also feel kind of confident in that matchup.
So Steel Song, very much still an element. Looks fantastic. A few different ways to build it. Plenty of red-blue around as well, although notably the red-blue players were quite unhappy with the amount of green-purple that was all on 4 Merfolk, that sort of thing. Kind of watching some games either side of me, seeing green-purple player going first, turn 1 Merfolk, turn 2 second Merfolk, and a 1-drop Diablo or something into just a Porpsicle, and you're kind of thinking, okay, this one looks pretty over. Pretty hard to recover from. So they're not having such a fantastic time, but that deck is so powerful, it's not going anywhere, is it?
Yeah. And I don't know why but I'm the green purple believer, so I shouldn't ask that, but why so many people were on green purple? Was it just because of my match versus Zan, or I don't know why this deck is so because I still think it's kind of a fair matchup spread, and not very oh man. I don't see it myself as very broken or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm too low. I'm too low in my own deck.
It is a fair deck, right? By design, it's a fair, consistent deck. So it's really not doing anything. It's not doing any one thing. That you look at and think, "Oh, crazy! What? Like, this is unbeatable." It's not doing any one unbeatable thing, but it's the tick up in card quality. The fact that probably the 2 most metagame warping cards from the most recent set were Go-Go and Genie.
Yeah, that's true.
And you just get to insert 4 copies of each one into this deck. And it's also, you don't have to change anything about the philosophy of the deck or even really remove good cards to get them in. You just take out the stuff that was there doing medium jobs and replace it with higher quality cards that are more aggressive, help you close games better, help you play faster. So it's sort of just hitting critical mass as a fair deck, much like Red Purple did in the past. It's hard to point to any one thing and think, "Ooh, busted." You know, this wouldn't be a deck that you could ever say this card needs a ban, to shut this deck down, because they're cards that are played across a ton of different decks.
To the community, I want just to say, shut up. No, not to all of you. I want to. No, I love you all. But if you say Go is too good, yeah, then I just have to say we have 6 sets now. And if finally, after 5 sets, an aggro deck becomes tier 1, that's okay? You don't need to complain about it, because that's absolutely fair for every aggro player in this game, that they can have one time a viable high competitive aggro deck. I think that's nothing to ban or something. It's just fair that red-blue players get sometimes punished by doing 4 turns nothing and hope the opponent does the same. So yeah. Because sometimes I play against red blue, I open with Diablo and Gogo, and then I think they play turn 3 Hiram, and I think, what does my deck? I don't know what my deck does. Because
I'm just playing this pile of cards that get me to 7 lore by the time they've got 9 cards in hand and 9 ink. And I'm just like, oh, great, awesome.
And
every turn, my decision is basically, how many things do I want to die to Sisu next turn? I'll let this one go, and this one, and then you just kill them all, and I concede and walk out the room.
Yeah, so I think the game deserves a viable aggro deck.
For sure.
I mean, aggro, it was not completely unviable, but yeah, it was kind of still a bit of a weird deck choice if you bring this to a DLC or something, and a really hyper aggressive deck. So yeah, it was always a weird choice, because Steel Song exists since set 1 and kind of crushed every aggro deck since then, and yeah, kind of every steel deck, you can say.
Yeah. It's good for the health of the game. It's I've always maintained that if no aggressive deck is viable, that's a mark against a game.
Yeah.
If an environment should have room for all decks to exist. It just becomes an issue when one archetype is so strong that another can't exist at all, which is kind of how aggressive decks felt under Green Steel when it was at its most powerful, right? This is everywhere. The power of the deck combined with the critical mass of people playing it because of its power means that I can't turn up to a tournament with green purple right now, because I know I'm going to get crushed by Shift Diablo Sing Storm on my thing, and it's lights out. I can't catch up with that with the cards available to me. It looks like a healthy meta for the time being. Some of the control decks might be forced to interact a bit earlier. That's no bad thing. They've been able to do basically nothing for turn 1, 2, 3 for quite a long time.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that should always get punished. I mean, in every other TCG I played, that was a death sentence if you do 3 turns nothing, and there were so many decks that punished that, and should get punished too. And yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I think if you ever feel comfortable going Porpsicle, One Jump, or Sail, Hiram when you're on the draw, that's a mark against it. Look, nobody should feel fine spending the first 3 turns just developing a 1/6.
Yeah.
That shows that you don't need to interact early enough in the game. It's probably a little mark against it. I don't believe that any one deck at the moment is like overpowered. Red Blue has been very good. I'm not like a red blue hater or anything, but it's just that kind of play pattern, feeling safe in doing that a lot of the time is maybe a sign that things aren't as diverse as they could be. But again, it's really hard to make a truly diverse metagame TCG, isn't it? And
yeah,
I think Ravensburg are doing a pretty solid job, actually.
Yeah, they do a really good job. I think some cards, for example, 3-cost Hensai Sisu in red. I don't understand this card at all. This is so absurdly busted and overstated for its cost. I don't understand this. This won me so much games alone. This card. This is so, I don't know, it's me or something. This also sometimes they make little mistakes, I think, just overstating cards, but that's nitpicking. That's not very, very. Yeah, I think it's important to print powerful cards like Gogo, or that the game doesn't change. You can't print only fair cards, and then the game doesn't change at all. So yeah, good cards need to be printed. Yeah,
they do.
Yeah, so otherwise we won't. If we do still in 2 or 3 years still Popsicle Hiram shit, then yeah. Maybe we do. But I hope not.
If people are still playing Popsicle Hiram in 3 years' time, I won't be around to see it. I'll
No,
be doing something else.
I'm doing something. Do you test since last week? And did you have some new insights for either the metagame or your deck at all?
Yeah, so main thoughts coming out of the tournament this weekend, and I guess also takeaways from testing throughout the week as well. First mistake I made that was an issue was, I mean, it was an issue at this particular tournament for sure. I didn't test the mirror match anywhere near enough. I think I played a few mirrors across the weekend. I lost 2 of them, and certainly one of them I feel like I made some mistakes. I was kind of playing my set 6 deck mentally, trying to as if I was playing against set 5 red, green, purple. If that makes sense, I was still trying to grind them out. I really didn't acknowledge when it was time to re-race and swap back. I just didn't feel confident in that mirror, and that was very odd. I've historically been pretty good at winning mirror matches quite a lot of the time, but I really felt a little out of my depth with it. That kind of got my mind shifting to, okay, well, if lots of more people are going to be on green purple, let's presume it's more prevalent, but not so prevalent that it gets hated out. What do we do to tune for the mirror? What cards are we overlooking that might be very, very good? Certainly, the point of contention in all of these, whether it's green purple, purple steel, or even red purple, the tension point now is like, what do you do with your genies versus opposing genies? How do those lines go? Are you gonna genie into their genie, then Elsa theirs as well to clean it up in one turn? Are you worried then about the Elsa coming back and on their turn 5? That's, to me, like a really, really tough point in most of these games at the moment, because normally you feel really free to quest with evasives. Well, actually, if there are a ton more evasives around, notably your opponents are playing the exact same ones, Genie, Elsa, and go, then how do you change your questing patterns? All of this really leading up to say, the first mirror match I lost on the weekend was against one of the guys that I mentioned earlier. Super nice guy, and him and all his friends were on green purple, and they were really excited to talk about the deck and were lovely people. I Ursulaed him on turn 2 in game 1 just to have a look at what was going on. Didn't really know what deck he was on or anything yet. I assumed green purple. Can't remember what he inked. And in hand he had a Bell, the 5-drop.
I heard of that card a lot.
Yeah. This was a big surprise to me. It completely changed all of the decisions I made.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
it is so good in that spot with the genie versus genie spot, where let's say your opponent plays genie on turn 4, you play your genie on turn 4, they quest because then they force you to have the Elsa. You send your genie into theirs, deal 2, then play Bell, remove the 2 from yours, put it onto theirs to finish it off, and you're left with 4/4, the quest for 2, and a full health genie, which doesn't get cleaned up by their Elsa at all. And it's a humongous tempo swing. So yeah, had to give those guys credit for that. And then I sort of excitedly went off to our Discord chat and said, "Oh my god, I just got beat so badly by Genie by Bell. It's so good in these Genie mirrors." And a couple of our friends, Dave and JDRR, they play a lot of purple decks, different ones. The purple steel guys, they've been all over it already. They're sort of like, "What year are you living in?
Even red purple.
You need to play Bell."
Yeah.
I was the last guy to the party about Bell, apparently, and just sat there like, oh, yeah, I guess this was a good card. I probably should have played it. So that's what I'm looking at. Anything else stand out for you? Is there any way you would kind of tune your list from EU? You've got the list at the one that's out there at the moment that a lot of people were playing your exact 60, by the way, at this tournament.
Yeah, I saw someone team IKL from France winning a big 130 person tournament with my list yesterday. Yeah. So I think my list is probably the most popular right now.
Is there anything you would change?
Yeah, probably. But we are not allowed to throughout the whole tournament. I think either of us probably would like to change something, but that's the
Yeah,
game.
sure.
I'm really high on Gazelle right now. Would like to
Yes.
play more. I'm high on Clarabelle,
Hmm.
very high. I think we were on for small and for big Clarabelle on set 5, without
Yeah.
a doubt. And I think nothing really changed for that. So I made a lot of red purple games and a lot of green purple games, and against both of that, she really shines. She really, really shines.
Yeah.
Because it's in the mirror match, I experienced also a bit of sometimes a value game where, yeah, because we are juggling a bit with our card draw engines and our value engines a bit in the deck lists. I think we are juggling them in and out. We are
Hmm.
playing more rabbits, then we play less rabbits, then we play more genies, then we play friends.
Yeah.
And in the past, it was always clear everyone has the same: 4 rabbits, 4 friends, 4 snakes, for it was no doubt everybody has the same. And then who
Yeah.
draws more rabbits? And now you have this decision between: do I more the tempo thing and try to win
Mm.
faster, or do I go more for the value thing? And both are kind of reasonable, yeah, win options. And that's very hard to determine what's the right approach is. And Clarabelle does both a bit for me, because yeah, it's still just the body to shift on turn 5 is threatening against a lot of decks. I mean, for example, if you play the bell, what I can really imagine is a really good card, and then I shift my Clarabelle and don't quest with it or something. It's still very annoying for them to deal with in the mirror match, because then they quest with the bell, then I can trade also, and still can empty my hand every turn and refill. And I can't imagine a matchup where she really is bad. And I think the 1-drop is just helped me so often in my testings.
Yeah.
For example, Blue Steel, the only line they win on the draw most of the time is turn 3 Quill, turn 4 Tinkerbell. And if they play turn 3 Quill and you shoot the Quill with the Clarabelle, they are so doomed, because probably the only other card they have is Hiram, and you banish the item for Hiram, so they have Hiram and Tinkerbell. And the Tinkerbell they can't play, so they probably need to ink their Hiram and do nothing. That's game. And that's pretty much value for 1-drop, I think. If you compare it to some random cantrips. And
Yeah. Totally.
the more Clarabelles lead to a very you can just play more risky with your cards in your hand. You can just, at some point, you will draw your Clarabelles, and I can imagine that the max Clarabelle thing is very good. But also
Yeah.
some cards
Nice.
like Bell and Gazelle, and I think like Gazelle is probably straight up better than Peter Pan. I think
Yeah.
I just in the tournament I just wanted the 1-1 split, but it's probably wrong. I don't know. Yeah, but I have to play with it. I think it's still okay. But probably right now I would play 2 Gazelle. 2 Gazelle
Yeah.
is probably a good amount, I think.
Yeah. I wanted to specifically, on the topic of Gazelle, actually, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you feel about the balance of 1-drops. There were a lot of situations where I was kind of in need of dealing an extra 2 to something evasive, and maybe it's a shifted Diablo, maybe it's a genie or something later on. And Gazelle is obviously fantastic. You enable your foxes and everything to make great trades, and that's really good. But I was often lacking like good early targets to make a really quick, valuable trade. If I hadn't played a fox or something, or I hadn't played a goat, I'm kind of thinking, right, if I had a Chernobog's followers here instead of a Diablo, I'd really be able to do something with Gazelle and take out this shifted Diablo on turn 2 or something. Yeah, are you still really high on the 1-drop Diablo? my mind is shifting a little bit back towards followers, but I'm not sure at all.
Probably in the meta you experienced, it's true, I think. The Chernabog is better in these matchups, in these trading matchups. Diablo is so strong against so many matchups. That's the problem for me.
Yeah.
Where he's just not comparable.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
For me, in my mind, it's just settled. Somehow, it's for Murfolk for Diablo 4 clearable right now, but
Yeah.
it could change.
Yeah.
I mean,
nice.
if we have a very high aggro meter, then yeah, why play Diablo? Then that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But then
I
you
think
could doubt Murfolk too, and so. But yeah, it's weird.
I think it was that, I don't need a huge amount of trading power early. That's fine. I rely on basically you don't really start making trades anyway until turn 3, where you use either a fox or a crab to make a really good first trade. That's what you're sort of looking to do every game. But it's the combination of 0-1 Diablo, 0-1
Yeah,
followers,
Murfolk. Yeah,
1-2 Clarabelle.
yeah.
When I am in those situations, like I actually have nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like we were saying before about how you get when you play Diablo turn 1, they play Merfolk, that sort of thing. In your Diablo, then it's like, oh, what's Diablo gonna do? I had a fair few of those situations playing a Diablo into a Merfolk where you're sort of like, oh god, I really wish this was anything else. But yeah, if I was to go down on them, I'd probably immediately get paired into red blue all day and just think these are all garbage. I wish I had Diablos. So yeah, maybe some tweaking to do, but I don't know.
Against red, Diablo is just great in general.
Yeah.
I think. The problem is it's still against aggro not that bad, because if you the good thing about Diablo is you quest, and then it's actually saving you lore, because the other two 1-drops, the Chernabog and the Broom, you need to banish yourself. And the Diablo, they need to challenge, so actually they don't quest because they challenge your Diablo, so it's actually saving you lore, you could say.
Yeah.
What's also not bad in serious in racing situations.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. I'm still high on Diablo, I would say, yeah, but I can see the struggles in this meta that you face, that you thought, oh my gosh, all my 1-drops do nothing.
I was often found myself looking at my Diablos thinking, like, there is a card. So basically the situation you've just explained is like, that is completely true, of course, that it's such a huge advantage that our opponents have to trade into them to clear them. But what I experienced was the opposite, where I was looking at my Diablo like, there is a card trapped inside you and I can't get it out.
Yeah. That's
Unless
true.
I ship it in. And I was
That's
sort of
true.
thinking, I want to be able to both quest and have the card in here. I don't want to send this 0-1 in just to get my card back that I invested in this 1-drop.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe something to think about for the future if the metagame does end up really aggressive. I mean, it's obviously also still such a good crab target that it might be fine in an anti-aggro build anyway. But yeah, definitely had some rough spots where I felt like my choices of 1-drops were not great. Probably because but in the one match I'm thinking of, they were really bad. I lost a dice roll, and that was a big determining factor. But in that spot, it's rough.
Maybe it's time for the Olafs again.
Bring back the 1-3s.
If we all steel decks play 4 fire against, it seems like it's really crazy. Yeah, but Olaf is just no. Let's see what.
Yeah, and that's the other deck that I wanted to talk about as well, that there wasn't a huge amount of it in the room. Purple Steel, not a huge amount of it around, but where it was doing very well. As you might expect, into a field that was heavy on green purple, because they play the same suite of great purple cards that we play, plus the cannons to just snipe stuff out really early.
And Kalun.
and Calhoun to freeze the board on turn 2 and make us regret all of our decisions. Yeah, I think they had a great time. To me, that deck, it's obviously great. It's in a really good spot, but I don't know. I look at that and I think, how much do I want? I don't know if I could ever be comfortable playing a deck that runs 4 Fire the Cannons and there's 4
Oh yeah,
Uninkables like Calhoun into.
the
You would
matchup
just
spread.
think,
Yeah, the matchup
yeah,
spread is
into
so
blue
much
red.
worse. Yeah, blue red is
Yeah,
crushing it, and even red purple is this. No, you don't want to play 4 Fire the Cannons against red purple. You don't even probably want to play Kaloon into red purple because Siso eats it, and
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Even Maui and such cards are really good against purple steel.
yeah,
I'm in general, I would say I'm low on it, but it can be maybe so crazy fast that it's still a problem, and then close games with Gun 2 and such card. So
yeah.
maybe there's a spot for them, but I think the overall matchup spread is worse than green purple. In my,
Mm.
just my feeling, but it seems for me like a counter deck for for green purple for me.
Yeah, that for me was my suspicion as well. I could feel my biases in my brain activating as I'm looking at this deck, as I'm looking at someone go, Challenger Murpho, play Calhoun on turn 2. And I'm like, this is like flaring up something in my head. I'm feeling like it's the most powerful deck in the world, and actually it just beats 2 decks and not the
Imagine
whole.
imagine they play against red blue, and the only turn 1 and turn 2 play is the Fire the Cannons and the Kaloon. Then they
Yeah,
think, okay, I have lost on turn 2.
yeah, sure.
That's Fire the Cannons is such a niche card. You need to play this card probably with Fishbone Quill or something, or this card is so bad in so many situations, probably. But
Yeah,
it's hard to say. Um,
yeah.
I think it was
The
always kind of viable. Purple
yeah,
Steel was never not viable. I think, it was always doing its thing, win its games. So, but also kind of a fair deck, I think.
yeah. The ones that I've seen do very well have been much more aggressively built than the ones in the past
Mm-hmm.
as well. Like often playing 1-drop Maleficent, that sort of thing. Which by the time you've got your cannons in there and your 1-drop Maleficents and your Calhoons, you've barely got room for your genies. That's a different problem altogether. But yeah, and how do you fit in your genies and your docks? I don't know, but they manage it. Those they're built, I suppose, so that they can still go under red blue and that sort of thing, and just
That's
hope to not brick out with loads of cannons. That's fine. I think those decks seem pretty good because they can race so well and are also well positioned against us. But I think that if you're going to play that, I can't
what
really see a version. Some of them went bigger and played Tinkerbell, that sort of thing. That I'm not really interested in that sort of thing at the moment.
I also see so many green steel mid-range lists without the discard
Mm,
package, and
yeah,
I don't get the idea of the deck really, because how can you win against any slower deck if you don't have the discard package? I don't know. In green
no,
steel, it's just, what do? You nothing. You're not fast. I mean, you have Diablo, and maybe that wins you some games too. But I really think that this card package is needed in green steel for me,
yeah,
or to be really possible to beat red blue. It's still a bad matchup, but if they know you play no discard, then they can just quill to everything, and and play the first beat prep, and then it's over probably. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Very tough one.
I think, what else? We talked about Ember Steel, we talked about Green Steel. Red Blue is still very powerful.
Hmm.
Um,
The future of red purple maybe
yeah,
is an
that was the
interesting
last
one.
thing I want to talk about, but maybe we go to that because we have an hour now, so we can talk about it, because that was the last topic I want to talk about. because by recording tomorrow, I will play my match against Noimnot, who's in red purple, obviously, and I'm on green purple. And I tested the matchup a lot again, and I think it's very, very close. And it will be a very, very close game, I think. And both decks can do powerful things. And I'm very excited. And the future of red purple is I expect it to win the European Championship. I don't know. By recording now, I can say that because I'm not afraid. It's 95% sure for me that I pick either green purple or red purple for the last chance qualifiers, and I'm still not sure what of these two decks, because red purple felt so strong in the weekend for me. I mean, it was at 5, but put in two, 3 genies and the deck is finished. So I can't see the deck still losing easily against anything. I can still Flint Sisu in its own won me so many games on the play. I don't know, that's so crazy, absurd. And the end game is very strong, and I still don't get people why. I don't know why the deck should be bad. I still don't get it, and I still need to be convinced that it's bad by you or Dave.
I was going to say, did you the way I've been thinking about it is, whatever happens in your match against Noimnot tomorrow, at the time of recording tomorrow, you win whatever happens, because you either win the match or you get to say, I told you this is a terrible matchup, and then I'll have to believe you. I will say I'm slowly coming around to the idea. I think I just spent too long feeling very comfortable in that matchup, and there's a fair chance as well that I wasn't playing against like the best red purple players in the world, and actually the matchup at a really high level is very different.
And
it's feeling less favored to me.
And if you see the green purple and the red purple deck, and you see the green purple deck, and then you look up at the green cards, and then somebody needs to tell me which of these green cards absolutely excels against red purple. It's Kit, it's Banzai, it's Ursula, 2-drop, what's also weird. And okay, Go is probably the best, but even that gets LCCC when you play it early or something. There's no green card. That's a real problem for red purple. The only really good card is Big Clarable for me against red purple.
Yes.
What makes but when you compare this, what red purple has, they have Hansai Sisu, they have Medusa, they have Maui is a bit weird right now maybe, but Tremaine, they have Medusa, they have B-Prep, they have Brawl, they have every card in their shell does kind of their job against green purples. So I can't see the matchup being that favored for green purple without playing Lyle. That's the thing. Without playing Lyle, Lyle was our key to make this matchup very favorable for us, because you always play the Lyle before the B-Prep turn, and then you get so much lore.
It's much harder for them to race after that.
And often it doesn't really matter if we play green purple or red purple, because it's the silly Genie Elsa wars that happen, and
exactly.
It doesn't matter which color you play with this, because it's the Genie Elsa Genie, and then that's often because just of these facts, I think it will be a very close game, or either someone bricks of us, and then it can be a very very short game still. But most of the time, the matchup gets very grindy, because both players don't get much lore early, probably most of the time. And I hope I draw my Clarables, my 2, and I'm curious, but I'm just proud that I won last week. So I think
that's a really good game.
it's a win-win situation because I have no pressure. I can, I can lose against Noimnot and nobody will think, oh gosh, is Artabax bad? Because I think there's no shame in losing against Noimnot for no one, I think. So, yeah, I think there's not that much pressure. Yeah.
No, it's nice. You actually get to enjoy it. And it's been like a very good watching experience as well. I think everybody has really picked it up way more than I thought it would. I thought it might just be something that a
Yeah,
few people tune into.
I thought so too.
People are really behind it, and it's been a ton of fun to track as well. So yeah, a lot of the games have been very good, like really interesting.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of coverage of tournaments, DLCs and other smaller, more local tournaments as well. And I always enjoy watching them. But these games, I think probably because they're untimed. Wait, you don't have a timer, do you? They don't put you on a timer.
No,
You
untimed,
just
yeah.
go for as long as
Yeah.
because they certainly seem untimed because a lot of the turns are very long. The matches are about an hour and a half long. So maybe it's because of that. I really feel like I've learned a lot just from the ones that I've watched so far. Certainly a lot more learning moments. And it's nice to have these single games that everyone you talk to also seems to have watched because you're now talking about critical turns. It enables a bit of a different level of game analysis as well. So shout out to Pavel. It's been a brilliant thing,
Shout out to
and the
Pavel.
whole team doing the
Yeah.
coverage, all the casters, European language, NA. Yeah, it's been great.
I think the community just overreacts a bit from the results that happen. It's one best of three, I won against Zan, and they maybe think, oh, Green Purple is not bad against Green Steel because Artabax won on the draw, and so that's it was one. His game 3 was not very powerful start, and then I won, and I think that's not meaningful for the matchup. You need to play 20 games, and then you can talk about it. I think to make a viable matchup. How you think about the matchup. So
is that going to be the format for the next tournament? 20-game gauntlet. Everybody, 24-hour stream marathon.
I think I just want to say the tournament probably affects the meta more than it should probably, because either of us, I think some of us didn't think that much, probably just put some set 6 cards in and look how it went. Even my deck, I submitted the deck list 2 hours and before, and then I thought, oh come on, I make a mix list, do everything in that I think could be viable, and so, and everyone takes it for, oh, this is the best list, it's the Artabax list, and it's probably not anymore my Artabax list, because I changed my mind about some cards, and
I did find it funny this weekend to see lots of people on the exact list, or at least it appeared to be that way, inking or just otherwise not really getting much out of the one big Ursula that's only there for open. It's only there as a threat for the open deck list, and then they're playing it in a closed deck list tournament, and every time it's just sort of like, oh, ink this, I suppose. This card isn't very good right now.
I would never play this Ursula in closed deck lists, never. Because it's so bad. I don't. It's also another card. I'm curious why. Probably because we are just faster now and don't have that much ink often. I don't know. Because in the past, Ursula was really strong, I think. Or what would you say? Yeah.
I mean,
the matchups were probably more common where she shines, Blue Steel and Amber Steel or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And even in the matchups where, she was good at breaking boards that were kind of getting a little bit too frozen, that was really good against Amber Steel, obviously, because of the Singing Claws and all the other steel decks. But when you had some purple mirrors, sometimes you would get quite a lot out of her because if there was something particularly big or like problematic on your board, on your opponent's board, it enables you to break that stalemate. I've seen way fewer of those situations because by that point in the game, usually the problematic threats I'm looking at are genies or Elsas or something. It's mostly Genie, to be perfectly honest. And then I'm like, well, shift my Ursula, spend all my ink to shift my Ursula, exert your Genie. I've still got nothing that can hit it. Cool.
Yeah.
And these things they're already questioning, they're already sideways doing their job. And actually, the thing you're under pressure to do is play an evasive or do something that's going to remove an evasive, and it's not breaking that or helping you catch up at all. So it's just feels like it's taken a step down for me, not achieving as much. And
also nobody is on Isma anymore, I think.
No, that seems to have been a little bit of fun for a while. That's explosive until people work it out. But there's far too many Elsas around for you to do the job. When you're on a draw and you play Isma on turn 4 and they just immediately exert it and get it, you feel so bad. And it's just common.
Card can't be that conditional, right? That card must always be very consistent, I think.
No. The first time you activate it, it is euphoric. You feel like this is the best card ever printed. And you can't hold on to that feeling. When you feel that dopamine hit, you need to walk away and realize it's like winning your first ever bet. You pocket that profit and do not let this become a habit, because you're about to start losing and you will feel way worse over time.
So just don't try it, because you get disappointed. So I think we talked about everything. Or do you have something you want to talk about?
No, the only other thing I was going to say is just in general, I wanted to just take a moment to say it's been such a nice experience doing, now that we've done 5 episodes or so, I'm constantly blown away by the nice things people say in comments, DMs,
that's good
coming
that
up to me at events and everything.
Yeah.
It's been so nice to do this and just know that people appreciate it or anything like that, and that they're enjoying it on some level. It's a massive amount of fun for me to just come on every week and have these conversations with you. But it's really nice to see these things, and I'm just so eternally grateful to all the people that are watching and leaving nice comments, and like I say, meeting at events and everything.
And I didn't expect the demand it got. It's crazy that how many views we have. Only 5 episodes in. So I'm very thankful. If you hear this, thank you very much for supporting us and making this thing that we continue. Because if nobody would watch us, well, then we would see no sense in doing it. So thank you very much. And we appreciate it a lot. We talk about it a lot, and we appreciate it a lot. And are very, very thankful for this opportunity. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's awesome.
Good. Then we will talk next week again. Probably talking about some other matches of the EU versus NA tournament, and it's the next week of Paris. It's coming sooner and sooner. So next week we will do a Paris preparation episode, I think, and then after that we will have the after Paris episode. No,
Yeah. I was going to say maybe we can record one there, but it might be too difficult.
Yeah, I mean we are back on Monday, so then we can maybe.
Yeah, it's probably a lot better.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone for watching and for supporting us again. And we see you next week, and have a good one, and bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.